Welcome, everyone. I'm David, and with me today is Sophia. We're going to get into something that is, well, it's reshaping our world faster than almost anything before it.
We are. We're talking about the staggering, almost unbelievable cost of the AI revolution.
And before we jump into the mind-boggling scale of it all, welcome everyone to TechDaily.ai. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit TechDaily.ai to get started today.
It's really an extraordinary moment, isn't it? We're not talking about your typical corporate budgets anymore. We're seeing financial commitments that are bigger than the GDP of some countries.
Right, and our goal today is really to help you understand what these titanic promises actually mean. Who's paying for all this? Who's taking on the risk? And what is all this computational power actually buying us?
It is the ultimate high-stakes gamble. We're focusing on these huge, record-breaking deals that have popped up recently, mainly around OpenAI, Oracle, and Amazon Web Services. We really want to know, what is the final price tag for building artificial general intelligence?
Okay, so let's start with the deal that really set the new benchmark. I'm talking about the monumental contract between Oracle and OpenAI.
A big one.
A $300 billion deal over 5 years, just for cloud computing. It was announced back in September of 2025, and it's set to kick off in 2027.
Yeah, and 300 billion is a number so large it's almost meaningless until you translate it into something, tangible.
Right. What does it actually represent?
It represents a colossal physical demand. To power that kind of AI compute, this one single agreement needs about 4.5 gigawatts of data center capacity.
Annually.
And to give you some context for that, 4.5 gigawatts, that's roughly the same amount of electricity used by 4 million American homes.
4 million homes, all just to run one company's AI models. That's an incredible draw.
It is. It's one of the largest cloud contracts ever signed, and it's exactly why Oracle's stock just exploded on the news.
And it's important for you to understand that this $300 billion, that's just the entry fee, really. This is all part of a much bigger multi-year plan called the Stargate Initiative.
Exactly. Stargate is the code name for this huge collaboration between OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. It's basically a joint venture to build the largest AI computing infrastructure on the planet. This Oracle deal is just the promise to fill that infrastructure up once it's built.
And the final goal for Stargate is what?
The total project is aiming for something like 30 gigawatts of AI computing capacity just in the U.S.
30 gigawatts. Suddenly, 4.5 sounds almost small.
It shows you the sheer ambition. Sam Altman has said his vision for the total infrastructure spending needed for AGI for the full Stargate project is somewhere around $1.4 trillion.
$1 trillion. I mean, that's a number that forces entire industries, utilities, everyone to just stop and rethink everything.
It does.
So Oracle shoulders this massive build-out.
Yeah.
What do they get from it? Why take on that kind of burden?
Well, for Oracle, this is their golden ticket. It's their chance to leapfrog from being a sort of third-tier cloud provider, OCI, straight into the big leagues with Amazon and Microsoft.
So it's a huge risk, but with a massive reward.
A massive reward. Their job is to pour money into new facilities, get the land, hire the engineers to meet this demand that's never been seen before, and investors, they loved it. The stock jumped over 40%. It instantly recast Oracle as a central player in the future of AI.
Okay, so from Oracle's side, it makes sense. You land the contract of the decade. But this is where the story gets a little strange, right? Because you look at OpenAI's financials, and the numbers just don't line up.
This is the core conflict. And it's the moment where the conversation sort of leaves the world of normal business and enters into high-stakes speculation.
So what were OpenAI's numbers looking like in mid-2025?
Their annualized revenue was reported to be somewhere around $10 to $12 billion. Their own internal targets were hoping for maybe an optimistic $20 billion by the end of the year.
Okay, $20 billion in revenue. Now let's go back to the Oracle deal. $300 billion over 5 years. That works out to an annual bill of $60 billion.
The math is brutal. OpenAI's annual bill just for Oracle, starting in 2027, would be 3 times their absolute best case revenue. You've got a $40 billion shortfall annually. And that's before you even factor in their costs with Microsoft or R&D or anything else.
And they already posted a huge loss in 2024, didn't they?
A $5 billion net loss, yeah, as they were just starting to ramp up their server capacity.
So how does any company survive a $40 billion hole in its budget every year? What's the plan?
It's a plan built entirely on faith and future growth. First, you have aggressive capital raising. SoftBank led funding rounds that valued OpenAI at an incredible $500 billion.
A valuation that has nothing to do with current profits?
Absolutely not. It's based on the assumption that they will have a near monopolistic hold on the future of AI. They're basically using equity now to fund the infrastructure they need to get to that future.
They're spending future money today.
Precisely. The second part is monetization. So higher prices, more enterprise deals, the usual. But the real key here is the idea of a delayed ROI, a delayed return on investment.
And how long are we talking? When do they expect to actually be profitable?
The leadership has been pretty open about expecting to run at a loss for years, potentially until 2029. It's an unprecedented bet that user adoption and new services will eventually multiply their revenue so fast that it catches up to this insane spending.
It's build it and they will come on a scale we've never seen before.
To a multi-$100 billion scale, yes.
But that puts so much pressure on OpenAI? What about Oracle? The risk for them has to be massive, too.
Oh, absolutely. It's called counterparty risk. And credit rating agencies like Moody's flagged it immediately because Oracle has to make these colossal upfront investments. They have to build the data centers, buy the hardware, secure the power, all before that revenue from OpenAI starts coming in. Moody's warned that this single deal could push Oracle's financial leverage to 4 times its earnings.
Okay, for those of us not deep in corporate finance, what does that actually mean in simple terms?
It means they're taking on a huge amount of debt compared to their income. For a traditionally conservative company like Oracle, that's a very high-risk level. They are leveraging their entire balance sheet. They're betting the farm on OpenAI's success.
So their fates are completely intertwined.
It's a high-risk partnership, not just a service agreement.
All right, let's shift from the balance sheets to the physical world. What does this $300 billion deal actually look like on the ground by the end of 2025?
Well, the main hub of activity is in Abilene, Texas. That's the first big U.S. Stargate site. And it's expanding fast. We're talking an 8-building campus that is on track to become the world's largest AI supercluster.
And the power draw there?
Just for that initial phase, it's pulling around 900 megawatts of power. It's basically its own small power plant.
And it's not just Texas, right? They're building out a whole network.
A whole network. The pace is incredible. In November 2025, a group of banks put together an $18 billion project loan just for a new campus in New Mexico. This is the kind of financing you usually see for, national energy grids, not for corporate IT.
There was also that really symbolic move in Ohio with SoftBank.
Yes, that's one of the clearest signs of this whole economic shift. SoftBank put $3 billion into converting a closed-down electric vehicle factory in Lordstown, Ohio.
What was once going to be the future of cars is now the future of AI.
An incredibly powerful symbol. They're turning it into a factory to build modular data center units.
Yeah.
This way, they can just churn out standardized blocks of compute and ship them to Texas or New Mexico and assemble them quickly. It turns construction into a manufacturing process.
So underneath all this construction, what's the hardware strategy? What are they filling these buildings with?
Well, the first most logical step is NVIDIA. Oracle is spending around $40 billion just to get about 400,000 of NVIDIA's newest GB200 GPUs. That's the state-of-the-art horsepower they need for the first phases of Stargate.
But being totally dependent on one supplier, especially one as dominant as NVIDIA, that feels like a big risk in a project this size.
It's a huge risk, and that's the crucial strategic move here. OpenAI knows they have to diversify to control costs long-term and avoid being locked in. So they're partnering with Broadcom to co-develop their own custom in-house AI chips.
A custom chip, that's a huge undertaking.
It is, and the ambition is massive. The plan is to deploy over 10 gigawatts of their own custom hardware by 2029.
Are they working with any other outside vendors?
Oh, yeah. They're also making a big commitment to AMD, NVIDIA's main competitor. There are reports of a separate 6-gigawatt commitment for AMD's chips. It's all about creating a diverse supply chain. If you don't control your hardware, you don't control your destiny.
This move to diversify away from just one provider, especially Microsoft Azure, must have sent shockwaves through the cloud industry.
It really did. The Oracle deal was a clear signal that OpenAI was spreading its bets, which is only possible because Microsoft relaxed its exclusivity clauses earlier in 2025.
And you just knew Amazon Web Services wasn't going to sit on the sidelines and watch Oracle get the biggest AI deal in history.
No way. AWS moved fast. In November 2025, they countered and secured their own big multi-year deal with OpenAI. It was valued at $38 billion.
So not as big as Oracle's, but still a massive statement.
A huge statement. It was a move to make sure Amazon wasn't left out. And it shows you that the demand for AI infrastructure is so enormous that no single company can handle it all. They have to share the pie.
Is Oracle putting all its eggs in the OpenAI basket, or are they playing the field now too?
They're definitely playing the field. There are strong rumors they're in talks for a separate $20 billion AI cloud deal with Meta. It confirms two things. First, Oracle is positioning itself as the high-end cloud for any AI giant, not just OpenAI. And second, even companies like Meta are realizing they can't just build everything internally anymore. They have to diversify too.
We mentioned the Stargate Initiative has political backing. Why is this seen as a matter of national importance?
Because the U.S. government sees this massive build-out of domestic computing power as absolutely critical for maintaining global leadership in AI, especially with the competition from China. President Trump came out in support of Stargate back in January 2025, framing it as a core national strategy.
So that political support probably helps cut through a lot of red tape.
A lot. When you need that much land and that much power from the grid, having that top-level support is crucial to making it happen fast.
But that scale, that 4.5 gigawatt draw we talked about, just for the Oracle part, that raises huge environmental questions, doesn't it?
That's the major headwind. The energy demand is a serious challenge for power grids everywhere. Projects like the one in Abilene have to be designed from scratch with things like closed-loop cooling to save water, and they have to use hybrid power sources, mixing natural gas and renewables, just to keep the grid stable.
The environmental footprint of a 30-gigawatt vision is something the industry is still figuring out.
Still learning how to manage, absolutely.
So if we pull this all together, the Oracle-OpenAI deal, this $300 billion agreement, it's so much more than just a contract. It's really a watershed moment. It defines a completely new scale for spending in the tech industry.
It is the defining moment of the AI arms race. It's a high-risk, high-reward bet that has completely reshaped the cloud landscape, forcing giants like Amazon and Microsoft to fundamentally change their strategies.
And for you, the key thing to take away from all this is that this wild, debt-fueled spending spree is what's driving all this rapid innovation. But it's also putting incredible strain on the companies, on the supply chains, and on power grids all over the world.
And when you look ahead, the total committed spending on AI by 2030 is projected to be in the hundreds of billions, and it's quickly heading towards that $1 trillion mark. But the compute costs are still so much higher than the revenue these companies are actually making.
Which leaves us with a critical question to think about.
A huge one.
Is this massive infrastructure build out a sustainable investment that's going to guarantee future breakthroughs and profits? Or is the entire AI industry building a speculative bubble? One that's based purely on the assumption of endless exponential growth. It's a question of faith, physics, and finance, and it's something you'll be seeing the answer to play out for the next decade.